Sanjna, what do you think today are the best practices that big companies should be employing to create true innovation within their existing ecosystem?
I think before we get into the best practices, it's good to understand the common pitfalls that we've seen. And we can typically summarize them in 4 forms, and I love to do this. One is slow starvation, which means that there isn't enough funding which is allocated to ensure long-term success for innovation ventures. The other one is revenge of the mothership. Many times we end up seeing business units and innovation units at outright war on who should own this. The other element is killed with love, where corporate bureaucracy just takes up and innovation is never allowed to move at the pace that it should.
As much as the intentions are there, it just gets killed.
Totally. And the last one is no incumbent advantage, which means that there is no right to win for the corporate to be in this space of innovation to begin with. So to that end, it's always about understanding how do we hedge against some of these common pitfalls.
Preempt them.
Absolutely. And once you start to preempt them, the basic thing is to get the mandate clear. Why do you want this innovation lab in the first place? The second piece is, which are the stakeholders which are going to be important to bring along in this journey? Many times, we underestimate this, and corporate innovation is a lot about stakeholder management. And lastly, but not the least, is be very specific on what success would look like. Many times companies forget what success might be from an innovation perspective.
Or setting targets that aren't necessarily even achievable seems to be a challenge.
That's absolutely the case, because if you really think about it, right, what I have seen companies find difficult to get accustomed to is even realizing that in innovation, failure is good. Because if I was knocking everything out of the park, 5 out of 5 projects are a success, then my question would be, am I really innovating? Am I stretching myself to get to the point where I am future-proofing my business, for example? They started with a use case in mind. There was a problem, and technology came second. So, in the world of data and AI and many of the innovations that are taking place there, you'll typically see folks looking at, I want to do NLP and bring that to a variety of use cases within the organization. And the thing to realize there is, it's better to think about, I'm going to actually use NLP on unstructured data for wealth management news so that my relationship managers are going to be more successful. So that's sort of the difference in starting with a problem first. And the second one is keep your focus narrow. When we talk about having scalable models for startups, right? In a corporate setting, it's great to start with a particular area so that you don't become a part of the corporate petting zoo. You'll be talking to 20 departments with no clear owner and no sort of traction to move on, versus starting with a small focus and then taking it from there.
Is there any specific examples that you can think about that you say, this is the right model that I've seen the most success out of?
Yeah. I guess all models can work. It sort of goes back for us to think about, does this tie in with what we want this innovation unit to be doing? And once companies are clear on what this focus is this going to give us access to a certain talent pool? Is this going to open up our understanding of a certain technology? Or is this going to give us new growth and new revenue? Then things will start panning out more clearly.
Sanjna, you've recently moved to McKinsey, but you had a really long, varied entrepreneurial career before that. As an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur, what were the best practices and learnings that you took from that past career to McKinsey?
Yeah, if I really reflect back, right, I've had like 20 years of experience. I've been a banker, an entrepreneur, and a corporate innovator. I've had the opportunity to be like a serial business builder in all my roles, as employee number 1 in most cases, and taking something which is at $0 revenue to 100+ million revenue, and then sort of moving on to the next thing. So to that end, what I've learned is probably 20 things that don't work. But jokes apart, my skill sets largely are at the intersection of data, artificial intelligence, and new venture building. And today at the firm, what I look to do at McKinsey as a partner is generally complement our strategy and management consulting work to extend the capability on new adjacent ventures for our clients, helping clients understand what their new growth or innovation strategy could be. Thinking about data as a separate business model, because data monetization is a big unlock in large incumbent companies, which they're yet to realize. And thirdly, it's about building applied AI products. and solutions which they can actually use back in their internal pieces or commercialize them.